Nobody handed you a map. Not your dad, not your school, not the internet. The internet gave you pieces. Get jacked. Make money. Be stoic. Every corner of the internet grabbed one piece and screamed like it was the whole answer. So you tried. Maybe all four at once. Maybe none of them yet. Maybe you're still standing there wondering where the hell to even start. And somehow, in the middle of all this noise, someone still yells, "Be a man." Look, that's not advice. That's a death sentence without a map. Here's what nobody tells you though. Every single one of those pieces is real, none of them are enough. And the thing that makes them work? Nobody's selling that. The internet didn't lie to you. Strength is real, money is real, emotional control is real, knowing who you are and where you're going, that's real too. Every guy preaching one of those things? They're not wrong. They're just selling you one room and calling it the whole house. Here's what each piece actually does when it's working. Strength, so pressure doesn't crush you before you even get started. Money, so the people depending on you have options, not just survival. Emotional control, so when everything shakes, you don't become the thing that breaks everyone else. Direction, so all of the above actually means something beyond just looking the part. But here's what happens when you run a piece without direction. Money without direction? That's just flex. Status you can't explain. A number that owns you instead of the other way around. Muscle without direction? Vanity. Armor for a war you haven't identified yet. Stoic without direction? You're not controlled. You're just numb. There's a difference. Dominance without direction? That's not leadership. That's just aggression with a good PR team. And the world right now? It's the worst possible environment to be running without direction. Infinite content telling you who to be. Algorithms built to keep you consuming, not building. A job market that can pull the floor out overnight. You can spend years collecting pieces and still feel like you're nowhere. Not because the pieces are wrong, because nobody showed you how they fit. So if the pieces aren't the problem, the order is. Here's where most guys get the order wrong. They go outward before they've built anything inward. Chase the money before they know why they need it. Hit the gym before they know what they're building toward. Try to show up for others before they can show up for themselves. And look, I get it. Outward stuff is visible, measurable. It feels like progress. But here's the thing. Two of these pieces are built for you first. Strength, direction. Not because you're selfish. Because you can't give what you don't have. A weak foundation doesn't get stronger by adding weight on top of it. It collapses faster. I learned this the hard way. COVID hit. Company shut down. Just like that. Gone. Panic and numbness at the same time, like two things that shouldn't coexist, somehow both running at once. Lockdown meant nowhere to go, no escape. Everyone in the house watching me shrink into myself day by day. I had the money piece. I thought that was enough. The second it disappeared, I had nothing left to stand on. Nobody knew who I was anymore, including me. Looking back, the thing that hurt my family the most wasn't losing the income. It was watching me lose myself. Because I'd built outward, never inward. I had a provider. I didn't have a foundation. And in a world moving this fast, AI reshaping industries overnight, cost of living making survival feel like a full-time job, everything external shifting under your feet constantly, if your identity lives outside of you, it will get taken. Not maybe. Eventually. The only thing that holds when external falls apart is what you built inside first. Strength to absorb pressure without breaking. Direction to know your identity when the labels disappear. Build those first. Not because the other pieces don't matter, because without these two, the other pieces have nothing to attach to. So now you've got the foundation. Body that can take pressure, some clarity on who you are and where you're going. Most guys stop there, think that's the finish line. It's not. A foundation with nothing built on top is just a slab of concrete in an empty field. The next two pieces aren't for you. They're for the people around you. Money, mind, not status, not image, not proving something to strangers online. Money so the people depending on you have options, not just survival options. Mind so when chaos enters the room, and it will you become the thing that steadies everyone else, not the thing that accelerates the collapse. Here's what nobody tells you about mind though. School didn't teach it. Society doesn't measure it. Nobody posts a progress photo of their emotional regulation improving. It's invisible going in, invisible coming out. The only time people notice it is when it's missing. When you lose your shit over something small. When you shut down instead of stepping up. When pressure hits and you become the problem instead of the solution. That's not passion, that's not strength. That's an untrained mind running on default settings. And this world is specifically designed to keep it untrained. Doom scrolling at 2 a.m. Dopamine fried from 100 notifications. Conditioned to reach for something, phone, food, distraction, the second discomfort hits. That's not neutral. That's your mind getting rewired away from the thing you need most. Mind has layers, axes, depth most people never touch. That's a whole map on its own, one I'll dig into separately. But here's what you need to know right now. A steady mind builds something you can't fake. You know it when you walk into a room and feel it off someone. Not the outfit, not the jaw, not the car. It's the guy who hasn't moved, hasn't reacted, hasn't needed to prove a single thing. And somehow everyone already knows. That's not confidence, that's capability leaking out. The final level of a trained mind. And once you're there, you don't stop chasing because you're tired, you stop because you've arrived. That's what people feel when you walk in. People don't run to the strongest guy when things fall apart. They don't run to the richest one either. They find the steadiest one, the one who walked in with direction and didn't lose it when the pressure spiked. That's what a trained mind actually builds, not an image. A reason for people to stay standing beside you. So here's the part nobody talks about. Most guys think they have direction. They've got a goal, a number, a vision of who they're supposed to become. And it works until something actually hits. Job disappears, relationship breaks. The thing they were building towards stops making sense. Suddenly, the direction they thought they had wasn't direction. It was just momentum. They were moving, but they never decided why. Because direction is what decides the order. Some guys need to build inward first, body and identity, because the foundation is cracked. Everything they stack on top just keeps sliding off. Some guys have the foundation, but no outward structure. Money and mind. So they're solid alone, but can't hold anyone else up. Some guys have 3 pieces locked and 1 missing. And that one missing piece is quietly undermining everything else. Direction tells you which one to pick up first. Not because the others don't matter. Because in a world this chaotic, you can't build everything at once. You need a sequence. And here's what makes this hard right now. The world is specifically designed to keep you from finding direction. Infinite content, infinite opinions. 4 different corners of the internet, each screaming that their piece is the answer. You can spend years consuming and never once sit still long enough to ask, what am I actually building, and who is it for? That stillness is where direction lives. Not in the next video, not in the next program someone's selling. In the moment you stop consuming long enough to decide. A boy collects pieces hoping they add up to something. A man chooses a direction and lets that decide which pieces matter most. That's the map nobody handed you. Not a list of traits, not a set of rules. A sequence, a direction, a reason. In whatever order your life demands right now. So, be a man. We heard that line our whole lives. Nobody ever dropped the manual. And honestly, nobody can. Because the manual looks different for every person reading this. Different starting point. Different people depending on you. Different pieces missing. Different direction to build toward. But here's what I've seen hold up, across every version of that journey. The guys who make it through this chaos aren't the ones who had the best pieces. They're the ones who figured out the order. And direction? That's the thing underneath all of it. The thing that decides what gets built first. The thing that turns pieces into a structure. The thing that makes the whole thing mean something. Who is this for? That's your map. Every part of manhood is real. None of them are enough. Direction is what makes them work. You already know where to start.